opinions.
I spend my life covering the big game at the big level.
On DAB, medium wave, and on your smart speaker. 20 years of talk sport. Previously on White and Jordan.
There will be a mad, dirty rush to turn around and say that taxpayers' money should go to bail out football clubs that won't be able to get the one commodity that needs to take a reduction, players' pay cuts.
A daily landscape of fire, football and fumes.
Are you confused.com? I'm confused as to why I'm sitting opposite you at times, yes.
Jim White and Simon Jordan continues weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport. Celebrating 20 years of Talk Sport. They said it wouldn't work.
What, you want to know what I want to say?
Sometimes it didn't.
Serious? You like illegal ads?
But somehow it did.
And wrongdoing by the US government.
On DAB, medium wave, and on your smart speaker. 20 years of Talk Sport.
You are listening to TalkSport's coverage of Arsenal against Newcastle United from Emirates Stadium. I'm your host, James Field, and alongside me is the former Tottenham, Southampton and Wimbledon defender, Chris Perry. This is Premier League Live, and it is time for kick-off here in the capital. Arsenal against Newcastle, the final game of the Premier League weekend this Monday night. And hopefully a good game as the sides swap ends here at the Emirates. Presumably Newcastle have won the toss. Turn Arsenal around here. What is your prediction for this one, Chris Perry?
I expect Arsenal to dominate possession. I think Newcastle will, even though they're playing 4-4-2, will sit back. But with two centre forwards, I think they'll look to hit them quickly on the counter attack, use the pace of Almiron to drive them forward and carry them forward up the pitch, and see if they can catch Arsenal on the break.
Is it a bit lopsided in that sense? Because Joe Ellington's probably not going to be dribbling on the left, is he?
I mean, he will carry the ball, but it's not particularly natural to him.
In that case, then, he could be quite a good runner to have at the far post, could he?
Absolutely, coming in on the back, particularly with Cedric there, who's certainly not as tall as Hector Bellerin. It could be a place to certainly look for crosses, yeah, absolutely.
But is the key also to get people around Andy Carroll if he can get the knock-ons?
Well, I think Callum Wilson needs to be playing a little bit differently to what he has all season. He needs to be making runs in behind Andy Carroll, and they need to get Shelby picking up the ball off of Carroll. Carroll needs to be that target and that platform for Newcastle to play and get up the pitch.
A recap of the team news. Leno in goal for Arsenal, Cedric, Holding, David Luiz and Tierney across the back, Partey and Xhaka sitting in front, and then a three of Saka, Smith Rowe and Aubameyang behind Lacazette. The sides take a knee here ahead of kick-off at the Emirates, re-emphasising the message there is no room for discrimination in football. Newcastle lining up with Darlow in goal, Kraft, Lascelles, Clark, Lewis across the back, Almiron, Longstaff, Matty Longstaff that is, Shelvey and Joelinton in midfield in a four, as we have been told here, and Carroll up front with Callum Wilson. We are underway, Arsenal against Newcastle. Let us know where you're listening from this evening. At TalkSport Live on Twitter is our handle. Give us your predictions, questions for Chris Perry, anything you like on this Monday night. We will get it answered. There's an early throw here for Newcastle in the right back position. Kraft launches it forward, and it breaks for Lewis in the centre of the Newcastle half. Tries to play it forward into Carroll and chests it down, but it breaks now for Arsenal. He scored 5 goals against Arsenal over the years, Andy Carroll. The most he's scored against any side in the league. High ball in here for Arsenal early on, headed away by Kieran Clark. Joe Ellington chested down on the edge of his own penalty area, and a cute ball away by John Joe Shelby. Now, Newcastle trying to break out here with Callum Wilson, and a ball to the right-hand side, which Almiron is chasing, and he's got there somehow ahead of Kieran Tierney. Almiron off the right, puts a high ball into the middle, too close to Leno, but already that was a chance there for Newcastle. If he measures that ball right, it's onto the head of Andy Carroll.
And that was pretty much what we said in the build-up, that Newcastle will sit back and then hit them quickly on the counter-attack. The pace of Almiron got there before Tierney, looking for the ball to Andy Carroll at the back post. Just got the cross wrong, but it was just probably a sign of how Newcastle are going to set up.
Well, Carroll's almost had a warm-up, hasn't he? Because these two sides met in the FA Cup on the 9th. And although Newcastle lost 2-0, Carroll played in that game. He had 9 of their 12 shots in that match, and he was actually the last player to score a winning goal for Newcastle at Arsenal back in November 2010. They have lost, I think it's their last 8 here now, Newcastle.
Yeah, last 8 Premier League games, yeah.
Is it a blessing that their fans aren't here to see it?
It's a tough place to go, isn't it? I mean, they've lost 15 of the last 16 games here. I mean, incredible.
A very bad record indeed. Arsenal have possession here with Granit Xhaka just inside the Newcastle half. Forward to Lacazette, back on the halfway line now. Arsenal trying to give everyone an early touch of the ball here. I always find Steve Bruce a fascinating character. Speaks so calmly and softly in his press conferences, but he's an absolute barker on the touchline, isn't he?
Yeah, I think you need that. You know, you need different personalities for different areas of the management game. You know, and on the side of the pitch, you need to get your message across to your players.
Flanked by Stephen Clements and Steve Agnew, two of his trusty assistants. Shelby on the halfway line here for Newcastle. Back to Jamal Lascelles. To the right hand side, he's had a real tough time with Lascelles with COVID-19. Likewise, Anasa Maxima, a player who I'm sure would have played tonight, hadn't he, if he'd have been fit?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's the one in that Newcastle squad really that does something different, that can run at people, that can excite you, get you off your seat, you know, and that's what those Newcastle fans want.
He's missing. He's back in training though, and he's back in the country after a spell away from Tyneside. Steve Bruce urging calm here as he watches on from his technical area. Arsenal in possession with Granit Xhaka. Back to David Luiz. Holding is his central defensive partner tonight. Plays it down the right hand side for Cedric. The Portuguese helping it on. He's gone out of play for a Arsenal throw on the right wing here. The assistant referee on the far side taking a bit of stick here after his decision. David Coote, the referee tonight. VAR Peter Banks over at Stockley Park. David Luiz in possession here for Arsenal. Xhaka holding the ball rather in the left back area here. Holding isn't in the left back area. Xhaka down the left hand side. Tierney tries to help it on, having recovered from a calf strain.
I think they play here for an Arsenal ball. Sorry, they missed Kieran Tierney when he didn't play at the weekend. He's been brilliant over the last 7 or 8 games. Really grown into that left back position at Arsenal.
Thrown infield here to Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Tierney back up the line here for Xhaka. Lacazette trying to hold on to the ball, but bullied off it in the end by Emil Kraft. Arsenal seeing a lot of the ball here. Tierney on the left hand side. Short ball back here to Xhaka. Newcastle defending in numbers, but still have two quite far up the pitch in Callum Wilson and Andy Carroll. Wilson charging the ball down here to try and win it back off Holding. Saka on the right hand side. Smith Rowe nips in to poke it back, and this game now settling down into a bit of a pattern, isn't it?
Yeah, Newcastle are quite happy for Arsenal to have the ball in their own half. They're defending at the halfway line and trying to make it difficult for Arsenal to play through them.
Arsenal have it. 5 minutes gone here already, 0-0. There are plenty of Premier League games coming up this midweek. Tomorrow night 2 games, West Ham, West Brom, 6 o'clock start, followed by Leicester against Chelsea. And then on Wednesday, 2 games, Manchester City against Aston Villa and Fulham against Manchester United at the Cottage. And on Thursday, Liverpool against Burnley. The games keep on coming, because next Saturday there's only 1 game, Villa against Newcastle, because of the fact it is FA Cup 4th round day. So we'll be taking a break. Apart from that 1 game, as I say, Villa against Newcastle next Saturday night, 8 o'clock kick-off. Arsenal set to have an away game in the FA Cup. They don't know who they're going to play yet. It's either going to be Southampton or Shrewsbury, who are playing their rearranged game this midweek. And managers just having to be a bit flexible this season. We saw the hoo-ha about the Fulham game, which was hastily rearranged against Spurs the other day. Is everyone just having to be flexible and understanding of the situation everyone's in?
Absolutely. It's one of those things. It's a completely different season to any other season, and you might not get the period of time that you want to prepare for a game, but you just have to get on with it.
For that reason, do you think it will count for much come the end of the season, or in 5-10 years time, when everyone looks back at this year and say, I don't know, a team who wins the title wins it even though they weren't expected to? Do you think people will kind of almost have a mental asterisk against it?
Potentially, yeah, I do, yeah.
It's a strange one, isn't it? Because I think for a lot of teams, maybe this season, and speaking myself as a fan of one of the Premier League teams, I think if you don't qualify for Europe and you don't get relegated, I don't think teams are going to mind, or fans of teams are going to mind too much where teams finish, are they, given they haven't been there to see it and endure it to a certain extent, maybe for some.
Yeah, I think you could be right. I mean, obviously fans are more distant from it than they usually are. But I think you'll find that most years teams won't mind if they don't get relegated. They don't really mind. Or it's only the top teams that want to finish in the Champions League spots that might be a bit disappointed.
Aubameyang doesn't get to the ball. Newcastle will bring it away here over the halfway line with Almiron, who's driving infield. He's got the run of Kraft on the outside. Emil Kraft now, the Swede, looking up, bends one into the box. It's blocked by the back of Xhaka, and Partey plays it away. Aubameyang on the left-hand side, running forward now, the Gabon forward, and he's got plenty of space to run into as well. Newcastle not closing him down. Aubameyang to the penalty area, onto his left foot, tries to put the ball in, and in the end it's grabbed by Darlow, but he had a really good chance there, didn't he, to drive on the outside and get the strike in?
Yeah, he's just not confident going on that left foot, is he? Not confident in his left foot. Lascelles just didn't want to come towards him, did he? Didn't want to commit. He had a real chance to knock it past Lascelles and get a shot away with his left foot, but he just dallied on it too long.
Newcastle in possession here, but a tweet in from Kwaku Smile Mfum. Apologies if that's pronounced incorrectly. He says he's sipping my Sobolo as I listen to an exciting commentary. Come on the Gunners, from Smile in Ghana. Newcastle trying to come forward here with Cowell. He's won it on the edge of the penalty area. I'm going to ask you about that tweet in a second. Cowell on the right, edges it back here towards Almiron, and a crunching challenge on him from Holding, goes right through him, but it seems like he won the ball. He certainly won the ball, but sometimes that doesn't matter these days. I mean, if he wins the ball and then his follow-through takes him into Almiron, he could be looking at a red card there. I mean, I don't agree with it, but he can't win any more of the ball, but certainly his follow-through is dangerous. Goes in very, very strong, pushes the ball, it goes against Almiron, who then goes flying to the floor. I'll be surprised if he obviously if they look at it, they have to give him a red card. They can't give him a yellow card because the referee's seen it. So check complete, no decision. I do think those kind of challenges where you push the ball and then catch the opponent sometimes are, unfortunate but almost unavoidable. Yes, sport hurts, doesn't it? Sometimes you've got to win the... Absolutely. He's got to win the ball. If there's a player on the other side, he can't be responsible for that. Your momentum is going to take you through in the way that your body's going, unfortunately, and if the player's in that direction, it's going to go into him at times. Arsenal have it here with Aubameyang. Partey loses it here to Almiron, who's certainly a keen runner in the early stages, but he's lost the ball here to Granit Xhaka. Just going back to that tweet, said that he was sipping his Sobolo. Do you know what that is, Chris Perry? I've got absolutely no idea what that is. Neither did I, but I'm reliably informed it's Roselle juice. It's a drink made from the flowers of a Roselle plant, a variety of hibiscus. Well, sounds nice anyway. So there we go. I'll have to try it one day. I think you're keen on the hot chocolate tonight, though, aren't you? I'm very, very keen on the hot chocolate tonight. Tierney trying to swing the ball in here from the left-hand side, but it's been blocked by Kraft, perhaps in a particularly vulnerable area of his body. And he's just taking a bit of a time out here. I think he's a bit winded here, isn't he? Oh, in fact, went into his stomach with some power. So the referee just giving him a moment or two to catch his breath. But it's been a high-tempo start, hasn't it, with 10.5 minutes gone, and Newcastle have done plenty of running. Yeah, Newcastle are looking dangerous on the counter-attack. Almiron, particularly driving with the ball, looks impressive. Cedric, over on the right-hand side for Arsenal. Portuguese infield to Holding. Partey, back to Holding. What do you make of Partey's influence so far since joining Arsenal? Is he the kind of player they've been crying out for? I think long term he will be the kind of player they've been crying out for. I haven't been overly impressed with him at the moment. I still don't think that the way that they're playing maybe gets the best out of him as yet. But he needs a run of games to get used to the pace of the Premier League, because it's very different to La Liga. Yeah, and he's been injured for plenty of it so far, hasn't he? Played 22 minutes against Palace last week. Tierney taking his time. Mikel Arteta points towards the halfway line, and that's where he plays the ball. David Luiz square to Holding. Cedric on the right hand side. Forward now towards Bukayo Saka, but he's lost it. Breaks for Callum Wilson on the halfway line. He's done well to skip away from two. He carries on here. Wilson, who's been pulled back a bit. The referee plays the advantage. Now pulls play back. And really, could there be an argument for a yellow card there as Wilson was breaking? I think it's probably difficult to see actually who fouled him.
I mean, he ran through the middle of two players, didn't he? I think it's goes through the middle of Holding and Thomas Partey, and it's difficult to see. No one really put an arm around him or dragged him back. It was just that there wasn't really much space for him to go through that brought him down.
Between them, they managed to stop it. So Newcastle free kick just inside the Arsenal half. Long high ball forward here towards Carroll on the right hand side. He nods it on towards Clark on the edge of the penalty area on the right hand side. Lays it back up the line towards Carroll, who crosses from deep, stands a high ball up towards the penalty spot towards Shelby, and Lacazette now helps it away, and Smith Rowe will try and break here for Arsenal. Has Saka on the outside of him. Smith Rowe over the halfway line. Saka back to Smith Rowe. Saka's been cleaned out here. Smith Rowe lets the ball go for an Arsenal corner. The play is now been pulled back by the referee for a free kick for Arsenal.
Yeah, it looked a late challenge, didn't it, by Jamal Lewis as Bukayo Saka played the ball forward looking for the run of Emile Smith Rowe. Oh, it's an elbow. That should be a red card.
Jamal Lewis it was who went in.
That could easily be a red card if they look at that.
They will be looking at it. Peter Banks.
He comes across and swings his elbow. It's not one of those ones where you run into him. He swings his elbow. I'll be surprised if they don't. If there's no action on that, it just makes an absolute mockery of VAR.
Well, it doesn't look as though there's going to be a check at the moment. They're setting up for the free kick. The referee doesn't seem too concerned about delaying things here. That replay we've just seen does make it look as though it should have been action taken there, but here comes the free kick. Cedric in towards the box. David Luiz helps it on, and it just drifts past the far post, and Kraft will bring it away for Newcastle.
Really good delivery into the box, wasn't it? David Luiz kind of comes off his shoulder in the end, not off his head. If he'd have got a good contact, you feel like he could have given Arsenal the lead there.
Just going back to that Newcastle free kick at the other end, it was a very high line from Arsenal, wasn't it? Can you tell us why that would be?
Because Andy Carroll's playing. Basically, Andy Carroll, if you drop off to the edge of the box and try and hold a line there, you end up dropping probably to the penalty spot by the time the ball comes in, and Andy Carroll is a threat anywhere in your penalty area, so you try and keep Andy Carroll as far away from the goal as you can.
And ultimately, if he's going to try and get a flick on, it's going to have to be a massive one to set up a chance, isn't
Absolutely,
it?
yeah.
Here's Saka inside the box at the other end, right across goal, and Aubameyang hits the frame of the goal. Real let off there for Newcastle, real chance for Arsenal. It should be 1-0. It was almost an open goal for the Arsenal striker and captain, but he couldn't grab goal number 4 of the season.
He should score, shouldn't he? Absolutely on a plate.
Darlow with a massive miss kick. The ball has gone behind for a corner. It's all happening. It remains 0-0.
It's brilliant from Emile Smith Rowe. Slips in, Bukayo Saka fires the shot across goal. It's a good touch by Carl Darlow's right foot. But Aubameyang then has the easiest of tasks to put it into the back of the net with his left foot, and he hits it on the half volley back off the pace. It's a really poor miss from Aubameyang, and it's what I talk about. His left foot is really poor. It is. He needs to work on it. Mikel Arteta should get him out every day working on shooting with his left foot, because it really lets him down.
It's an Arsenal corner. My left foot was so horrific as a kid that I used to get taken for one-on-one training with my coach on a Wednesday night away from the rest of them. Here's Saka's corner from the left. Outswinger, easily volleyed away by Shelby at the near post. And Smith Rowe will pick it up again on the left wing here for Arsenal, and swing a ball from left to right here to Cedric on the halfway line. 15 and a half minutes gone, 0-0.
Arsenal, you can see why Arsenal have had problems here, can't you? Because, they've only won one of the last 7 Premier League home games. They aren't taking the chances when they're creating them, and it just allows teams to stay in the game.
Yeah, they actually equal their club record of 4 Premier League defeats at Emirates Stadium in one season, set in 2010-11. They've not lost more at home since the 94-95 season.
I was playing then. That's how long ago that is.
Any memorable games away to Arsenal for you?
Used to have a pretty good record when I was at Wimbledon, certainly. Not Spurs particularly, but when I was at Wimbledon, certainly, we had a decent record, won there a couple of times.
High ball from David Luiz here, pinpoint to the foot of Aubameyang, into the box it goes. Clark just manages to nudge it away. There's a flag up for offside here against Bukayo Saka, and the England international is halted in his tracks, and a free kick to Newcastle on the edge of their own penalty area. Will Steve Bruce be the happier of the two managers so far, do you think, maybe, or not?
I think he'll be fair. He'll be pleased that they haven't gone a goal behind, because really they should be 1-0 down, and Aubameyang's charge is an absolute sitter. But he'll be pleased certainly with the way that they've offered a threat on the counter-attack.
got in some good areas, haven't they? And they've got forward again here. The ball's gone back off the head of Partey, away by David Luiz. The Brazilian gives it straight to Joelinton, though, who's, well, really playing out of position on the left side of midfield. We saw him in the left side of a front three, which I guess is acceptable to a certain point, but for a number 9, he's not going to be too happy playing out there, is he?
I think he's a number 9 only by the fact that he's got it on the back of his shirt. Because even at Hoffenheim, he played a lot on the left-hand side of midfield or left wing. He wasn't really an out-and-out centre-forward at Hoffenheim.
He's never been a massive goal scorer, has he?
No, never. No, absolutely not.
Which makes you wonder why Newcastle signed him to play him what looked to be at the start as that central striker.
It looks like he's got a very good agent, shall we say.
24 years old. His best ever return in terms of goals was 8 that he scored with Rapid Vienna in the 2016-17 season. Since then, 7-7. Last season he got 2 and 1 so far this term.
Yeah, I mean, it says a lot, doesn't it? I mean,
Saka in off the right hand side here, onto his left foot. Lacazette inside the box. Saka tries to ping one over to Tierney on the left hand side. It's cut out. Xhaka picks up the loose ball. Not to be confused with Saka and Xhaka. It's a good job Mitchell Backer's not playing. Here's Tierney on the left hand side, trying to get the cross in here. Just trying to swing it in. It's blocked behind. Corner to Arsenal.
Arsenal just starting to turn the screw, aren't they? Put pressure on Newcastle. Newcastle's defence has creaked on a couple of occasions. Can they get that crucial first goal?
Got a tweet in here from Keith's Life. It says definite yellow for the challenge on Saka. Had that been another player, he would have been rolling around like he'd been shot.
Absolutely.
Bad VAR, but good on Saka. Arsenal corner. Saka to take. He's okay. Holding in the box, David Luiz there as well. It's short to Smith Rowe on the left. We're back towards the edge of the penalty area. Tierney now tries to slide it in behind for Saka. You could see what they were trying to do there, but the execution wasn't quite right as Newcastle clear it away, and Partey has the space of North London on the halfway line to do with the ball what he wants. The Ghanaian looking square. Nice ball into Xhaka. Square again over to the right to Cedric, who carries it forward a couple of yards. Then to the right hand side for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Down the line, Cedric towards Aubameyang. Given away, Xhaka, Aubameyang, Xhaka, Partey. Holding on to the ball well here, Arsenal. Looking for that ball to release a chance going forward. Aubameyang, Cedric on the right now. His cross is blocked by Joelinton. It's going to bounce, and Aubameyang will let it go behind for another Arsenal corner.
Yeah, it's constant pressure now from Arsenal, isn't it? Newcastle can't get out of their own half. They're getting pinned back in, but Newcastle being very disciplined, keeping their 2 banks of 4, and Arsenal struggling really to cut them open.
David Luiz holding once again inside the penalty area. Kieran Clark on marking duty here with Lascelles, and a bit of pushing and shoving because the players are crowding around Darlow.
Possible to stand still, thank you. Don't foul, don't give a penalty away, don't give a defensive free kick away.
It's good to hear the referee.
I always wonder what referees say. It's ridiculous they stop the game for it.
I'll be surprised if he doesn't give a foul here.
Everyone standing on the goalkeeper here. Sorry, just letting dead air there because I knew the referee was going to say something. Corner to Arsenal on the right hand side. Can they get the delivery right here? Saka clips it in high, over the goalkeeper. David Luiz at the back post, heads it back across. It breaks for Xhaka, who sets it back towards Partey. Edge of the box now, Tierney. On his left foot, goes back onto his other side, then rolls it back to the halfway line. Partey to the right hand side now, and Smith Rowe. Why do referees stop the game to say, don't give a foul away, don't give a penalty away? It's just ridiculous. If you want to give a foul or free kick or whatever as a referee, then just do it. Stop wasting everyone's time.
Absolutely. Just let the players do what they do and you referee it.
Exactly, but referees do it all the time. It drives you mad, as you can probably tell. Here's Saka on the right hand side. Driven from range by Partey high over the bar. It's sometimes you see the referees pull 2 players towards them, and they probably say exactly the same thing. I mean, you can tell me, as a former defender yourself, if you're marking someone quite tightly, but I just don't get why they do it at all. They're obviously under some kind of instruction to do it, but it's in no one's interest to just delay the game for something so
just referee it. I mean, the players are just jostling really for position initially, and then when the ball comes in, if you see a foul, blow the whistle, get on with it, and if they ask what the foul's for, then you can tell them what the foul's for.
Darlow with a big kick away here from the back. Were Arsenal right to bunch on him? Do you see him as a weakness from set plays?
Not necessarily, no. I think he's had a good season, really. Certainly established himself as number one. Dubravka's back fit now, but Darlow's keeping his place, so I think it's a positive season for him.
Smith Rowe trying to play it out to the left-hand side here, given away as he plays it straight into the path of the Newcastle defender, Emil Kraft. So far, Arsenal have had 75% possession, 4 shots, 1 on target, 25% for Newcastle. Haven't had an attempt on goal yet. Steve Bruce, I'm sure, is just going to make sure his side don't drop almost, a yard every 5 minutes here, because they are up against it, aren't they, as we can see.
But Arsenal aren't the sort of team that are going to play an aerial ball into the box and expect Aubameyang, Saka or Lacazette to go and win a header in the box.
Right hand side, Smith Rowe lays it forward to Saka. Smith Rowe carries on his run. Saka holds on to the ball, right hand corner of the penalty area, gets the cross in now high. It's Almiron with the header away. Wilson back there trying to help it on as well. Now Newcastle can try and break out here with Miguel Almiron, who's gone past Partey and he's away down the right hand side, the Paraguayan. Wilson busting a gut to get up there as well. Almiron going alone. Miguel Almiron. Carroll on the left hand side inside the box. He lays it back here to Almiron on his left foot. Curls one just over the far post and away for a goal kick. But Newcastle there getting themselves into good areas once more.
That's the perfect game plan, isn't it, for Newcastle? This paw from Thomas just goes to ground, dives in completely. Almiron goes past him too easily. Possibly could have slipped Callum Wilson in there. And I think once it goes to Andy Carroll, it sort of loses momentum and he takes the shot from the edge of the box, Almiron. But it was always going to be difficult to score. But that's what they're doing. They're sitting back, they're waiting to spring, and they've got pace with Almiron to spring forward.
Newcastle have it here. Played high and away, but given away to Holding. David Luiz. Xhaka. Plays diagonal now from the left towards the edge of the box. Cushioned down and a handball on the edge of the area by Lewis, surely, and the referee hasn't given it there.
I mean, his hand is miles away from his body.
He's controlled it on his hand. Aubameyang, edge of the penalty area, lays into the box now for Tierney, left side. Ball in, blocked by Kraft, behind for a corner, but the referee surely got to give a free kick there. He's now saying that his hand was down by his side. Xhaka getting in the referee's face.
I think he's saying it comes off his thigh onto his hand. It does, but if that
gains such an advantage by taking
absolutely
it down
the ball's going straight through there, straight through. If it doesn't hit his hand, it's going straight through to Lacazette potentially.
It's hard.
You have to give a free kick there because it's outside the box, so it's not a penalty. I think you have to give a free kick.
Saka, I don't think anyone would really complain if he did give a free kick, even though it came off his thigh. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. Saka's corner, outswinger, and the referee's given a free kick here for a foul on Callum Wilson. And Jamal Lascelles there, as the free kick was given, you can hear his voice saying, slow it down, slow it down.
I mean, obviously he's only played that one half of football in the FA Cup here, hasn't he, and so after coming back from coronavirus, so he will be breathing. They've done a lot of defending in this opening period of the opening 25 minutes, and so he'll be looking for every chance to get a breather.
Look, I think Mikel Arteta's looking frustrated on the sideline here that maybe a couple of decisions haven't gone his side's way, but Arsenal are getting into good enough positions and eventually one's going to drop for them, isn't it?
Well, it looks that way, doesn't it? But it hasn't happened for them at home.
Wilson square here, Almiron back towards the edge of the penalty area, and Wilson. Holding gets it away, the former Bolton defender. Aubameyang in the left back position here, plays a short ball to Xhaka, who gets it away now to Partey. There's gaps there for Arsenal. Now they spring the ball forward and Smith Rowe's away down the left hand side. Lacazette and Saka in the middle. Smith Rowe inside the box, cuts it back. Aubameyang on his left foot over the bar and behind. He's had a few chances on that left side, hasn't he? Hasn't converted any of them. It remains 0-0.
It's a really good counter attack this time from Arsenal. What a lovely ball from Thomas Partey into the path of Errol Smith Rowe, and what a first touch from him. Drives into the penalty area, cuts it back for Aubameyang, 14 yards out, under pressure from Andy Carroll, who runs all the way back with him. Fantastic work from Andy Carroll on his left foot. strikes it towards goal, but always going over the bar. But credit Andy Carroll for his work rate there.
Only 20, Emile Smith-Rowe. He was in the Championship with Huddersfield last season, showing probably how a good loan can work out, can't it?
I'm not sure he did particularly well at Huddersfield either. I think
he's just certainly getting games under his belt.
Yeah, getting used to men's football absolutely is so valuable, and the Championship's such a hard league to play in.
Almiron here on the right hand side, lifts it into the box, headed away by Holding. Carroll picks up the loose ball on the edge of the D, but it is Smith-Rowe who gets back there to bring it down for Arsenal. He had a loan spell at RB Leipzig the season before in the Bundesliga.
Didn't really get much game time there.
He played 3 games.
Yeah.
Now very much taking his opportunity in the Arsenal first team. Darlow has the ball at his feet here for Newcastle. 0-0 with 27.5 minutes gone here.
His kicking's been poor, Darlow.
Smith-Rowe can't control it here on the edge of the box, and he's gone through to Darlow.
Just a miscommunication there. Smith-Rowe needed to have a touch. He wanted to just leave it, thinking that Aubameyang was running behind him, but he wasn't.
Newcastle with that one attempt on goal so far, which drifted over the bar on the far side. Dallow's taking a good 6 seconds here to get rid of the ball. He pings it forward now onto the head of Andy Carroll, who gets the flick on towards Wilson, who's looking lively so far. Picks it up edge of the box, looking square here to Almiron. Plays it behind Almiron, but Shelby's there to pick up the loose ball. He'll deliver here, looking for the flick on. It goes through to Andy Carroll, edge of the box now. He can steady back here for Longstaff. Does find Longstaff. Lewis on the left hand side. The left back trying to get it onto his left foot. Shimmies, goes back onto his right. Not a great delivery though, back towards the edge of the penalty area. Carroll challenges for it once and twice, loses that second time, and Tierney brings it away for the Gunners. Inside to Xhaka, who's challenged from behind by Almiron.
Oh, it's a good tackle.
Advantage play though by the referee, who saw it as a foul. Xhaka now back on his feet, and he's okay.
Yeah, well, there you go. That says it all, doesn't it? Certainly he won the ball, Almiron. I mean, he did come through the back a little bit.
Saka, wide right. Cedric's on past him. Low ball in towards Lacazette on the penalty spot. Takes a touch. Goes down as he knocked it past Lascelles, but the ball spins behind for a goal kick.
It wasn't really a chance. I thought Newcastle actually, a couple of minutes ago, had a real opportunity for John Joe Shelby to get his head up and put across to the back post. It was the perfect situation for them. Andy Carroll had pulled on to Cedric Suarez at the back post. Just hang it up there, because that is a complete mismatch.
Nearly half an hour gone. I'd say Newcastle are taking their time when they can, just here and there without being too obvious about it. High ball here towards Carroll, who gets the flick on again. He's winning plenty of flick-ons, isn't he, Carroll?
He is.
Back here to Leno.
I think the important thing for Arsenal is to try and stay as high as they can from those goal kicks, so that when Andy Carroll is flicking it on, it's as far away from goal as possible.
But Wilson's looking nippy, isn't he, at the same time? He's a man in position.
He looks really sharp tonight.
Wide right here for Cedric, edge of the penalty area. Short ball square for Saka. Partey, Saka, right hand side now. Cedric in line with the edge of the penalty area. His early delivery, high towards Lacazette. Just moved away from it by Lascelles, and Kraft with the header away. Lewis holds it by his own corner flag, hooks it away to relative safety.
Steve Bruce will be really pleased if it's just crosses like that coming into the box, because Lascelles and Clark should win those all night.
Cedric on the right wing, short for Smith-Rowe. Saka, square to Xhaka. Down the right hand side, Smith-Rowe. Cedric, his cross again off the back this time of Lewis, and away by John Joe Shelby. The possession stats for Arsenal increasing with every minute that goes by, but all importantly the scoreline is 0-0. Partey. They've failed to score in 7 games in the league this season, Arsenal, which is as many as the entirety of last season. 5 years since they failed to score in 8 games in a season. They're normally a team that are good for a goal, aren't they, Arsenal, over the years? Tierney crosses from the left here, too high for Smith-Rowe, run in, and Newcastle will bring it away. They have a throw in on the left hand side.
They always used to find a way to score at home. Certainly interesting that Newcastle turned them around, because this is the way they like to attack in the second half. But obviously I don't think it matters particularly when there's no fans in the stadium, but that's where at the end they love to attack in the second half, and the fans really get up for it.
Was there ever much emphasis on that as a player, in terms of what the captain should do, or did the coach leave it up to the captain to decide?
I think certain places you knew that Liverpool, for instance, love to attack the Kop end in the second half, and so if you won the toss, you try and turn them round and just put them off kilter a little bit.
Shelby gives the ball away. Xhaka forward. Lacazette was stretching and couldn't put a meaningful touch on the ball. But as you say, is there much to be gained from behind closed doors, or is Steve Bruce doing it because, you know, if they can get any kind of advantage here tonight, it's only going to help them?
It's just because Arsenal aren't used to playing this way in the first half. It's just unusual for them.
Can that kind of thing put a team out of kilter that much?
It can, absolutely, yeah. It can have an effect.
David Luiz, halfway line, 13 minutes to go until half time. It's been an enjoyable watch so far, despite the fact we haven't had a goal yet. Cedric down the line here. Smith Rowe will get it by the corner flag on the right. Being shepherded here by Joelinton, who gets back there. It's a throw in here to Arsenal on the right hand side. To beat Newcastle here 2-0 in the FA Cup. That game went to extra time. Smith Rowe and Aubameyang with the goals there. If they win here tonight, it'll be the shortest gap between home wins against the same opponent in 13 years rather, when they beat Newcastle twice at the Emirates in the space of 3 days. 9 days between the two games this year. Free kick here to Arsenal. So Lacazette was fouled. Mikel Arteta trying to give his side some encouragement here. Aubameyang pokes it forward. Lacazette inside the penalty area, but a whistle against the Frenchman.
Yeah, it was a nice little flick round the corner from Aubameyang, looking for his attacking partner in Lacazette, really. But Kraft had position on him, got his body in the way, and Lacazette had to foul him.
Newcastle puffing, but not letting Arsenal through so far. They're doing plenty of running up and down the pitch.
It's how long can you sustain having to work this hard without the ball?
Darlow with the long kick forward. Apologies, just had to sneeze there a second, right at the vital moment. Aubameyang down the left hand side. He's got a runner in Tierney going past him. Aubameyang on his right foot inside the penalty area, trying to go past his man, hits the deck, doesn't look towards the referee for a penalty. Lacazette carries on, but the ball's behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, it's good defending from Kraft. Once again, stood up, knew Aubameyang, showed him outside, was happy for him to go outside, just steps across him, gets his arm across. It's never a free kick. It's really good defending from the Swedish international.
Yeah, just did enough without fouling his man, didn't he, really?
Yeah, absolutely.
As he moved into Aubameyang's path. Just over 10 to go until half time. Newcastle's plan at the moment working, but what do they do as soon as they go a goal down?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? You know, that's always the question when you come to somewhere and you sit back as you go into a team like Arsenal who are struggling to score goals at home and haven't actually got a lot of confidence at home. You're fine until you concede that first goal. If they can get the first goal, I expect them to probably go even more defensive as the game goes on.
Kraft, the right back, across here to Lascelles, who goes back to Darlow. Clark, Republic of Ireland international, getting on his career now, 31. Feels like he's been around a lot longer than that. Came into the game at a young age. He's a player with Villa back in the day. Lascelles to Kraft on the right. As Arsenal chase after them, looking for the ball back to try and create their own chance and get that opening goal in this game. There's only been one shot on target in the match so far. Shelby on the halfway line. Good footwork to take it away from Smith Rowe. Square for Longstaff. Clark with a diagonal, but it's a poor ball forward. I don't think it was intended for Andy Carroll, who met it. Shelby in the end goes back to Clark again.
Newcastle are showing that they're not going to be good enough in possession to certainly play through Arsenal. Their only hope is probably going to be either on the counter-attack or a long ball into Andy Carroll and a flick on for Callum Wilson.
Partey to the right hand side, Cedric. Smith Rowe Cedric, Smith Rowe.
You have to ask a question now at half-time of Mikel Arteta. If they don't go in with the lead, do they need two defensive midfielders against a team like Newcastle?
Tierney holds it by the left corner flag, lifting it in high towards the far post. Darlow comes and gets a hand on it and grabs it with both at the second attempt. So just in terms of hedging your bets in that case, you mean, by withdrawing one of Partey or Xhaka?
I just don't think they're attacking enough for you to have to worry about playing two holding midfielders. You lose probably Xhaka. You might lose Thomas Partey because he probably won't get through 90 minutes. So you lose him and you bring on a more attack-minded player. Either, you bring on a Joe Willock, or you bring on
Pepe, Willian. One of those.
Pepe, exactly. To play in that area of the pitch. I'd love to see Martinelli on the pitch. He really excites me.
Yeah, Martinelli, a man who has been injured in recent times, hasn't really played a lot of football at all this season. Had a spell of games towards the end of 2020 in the Arsenal team. But the 19-year-old is back now. He's capable of scoring a goal as well as assisting. In terms of the benches, I didn't mention them earlier. Runarsson, the sub-goalkeeper for Arsenal. Hector Bellerin, Gabriel Magalhaes, Willian, his fellow countryman, Nicola Pepe, Mohamed El Neni, the Egyptian, Joe Willock, Eddie Nketiah and Gabriel Martinelli. For Newcastle, Martin Dubravka, the sub-goalkeeper, Matt Ritchie, Isaac Hayden, Jeff Hendrick, Javi Manquillo, Dondre Yedlin, Jacob Murphy, Sean Longstaff and Elliot Anderson, the Scottish midfielder.
It's the age-old question, isn't it, for Arsenal, in terms of when teams sit back and defend, have they got the craft and the guile to break teams down? And they haven't had this season. They've really struggled to break teams down. I mean, for a team like Arsenal, they've only scored 9 goals in 9 home games. I mean, that is absolutely unbelievable for a club like Arsenal.
It would be interesting, wouldn't it, in this season, say the games had played out the way they had, if the fans had been in there watching this home record play out the way it has.
Yeah, I'm sure. And we've seen over the last few years, certainly Unai Emery's reign and the end of Arsene Wenger's reign, in terms of the fans started to really show their disappointment. And I'm sure they wouldn't be particularly happy with the fact that they've lost more games at home than they've won.
And 3 of those 9 goals came in one game here against Chelsea.
Absolutely.
Joelinton away down the left-hand side here, trying to get the better of Thomas Partey, but the big midfielder gets his foot on the ball and brings it away. Sharp pass into Xhaka, who scoops it from the centre of the pitch to the left of Tierney. It was awkward for him to control, and Almiron wins it back here on the wing. Longstaff going back here to Lascelles, who plays the ball square to Clark. Lewis. They're almost going no more than 2, 3, 4 passes, are they, Newcastle, before launching it long for one of the two. Darlow high and away towards the halfway line. Carroll tries to take it down, loses the ball. Arsenal have it back. Aubameyang on the left hand side, into the box again, onto his right foot, tries to curl one towards the far post. Shades of Thierry Henry there, the way he opened up his body but couldn't curl it back inside. It's out of play for a goal kick. 5 minutes to go until half time.
Yeah, he's a poor man's Thierry Henry, isn't he? But Kraft just sat off a little bit too much there and just opened up that right hand side for Aubameyang, and he's looking to bend it into that far corner with his right foot. Doesn't get the curl on it at all, but Kraft has to be a little bit careful that he doesn't sit too far off Aubameyang. Has to get a little bit tighter.
Newcastle have won twice on the road so far this season. Their last victory wasn't too far away from here, when 2 late goals got them the points at Crystal Palace back at the end of November. Callum Wilson, Joelinton scoring in the 88th and 90th minutes there. At the moment, they're not creating too much here in this one.
Neither are Arsenal, and that's going to please Steve Bruce. And you think about that Aubameyang chance was the chance of the game, but other than that, there hasn't been a lot for Arsenal.
In fact, both of their wins were in the capital this season. Their other victory came back on the opening day of the season when they were 2-0 winners at West Ham. Callum Wilson again scoring in that, and Jeff Hendrick. Wilson is top scorer with 8 so far this season, though 4 have been penalties. Whistle here. It's a free kick to Newcastle on the edge of their own penalty area. After an offside and a long ball forward here to the right hand side, where Wilson has pulled wide. He's got Almiron close by. Miguel Almiron receives it now. Corner of the penalty area on the right. Short ball back to Shelby. Carroll's now getting into the box far side, peeling off Cedric, drives it across the penalty area, and it goes out to Almiron on the right. Miguel Almiron onto his left foot. He'll roll it back here. They've got to get it into the box, Newcastle. Almiron now will deliver. Arsenal sitting off. Almiron swings it in towards Carroll at the far post. Holding wins the header. Joe Ellington trying to take it down, and it's been sliced behind here by Partey, has it?
That's a corner.
Looks like a corner.
Yeah.
Now it's been given.
Yeah, I think the ref was scared of Andy Carroll there. He was pointing at him, that's a corner, and the referee agreed.
Just seeing this cross from Almiron again. Why are Arsenal sitting off and not stopping the ball to come in?
I've got no idea. When Andy Carroll's in the box, you have to stop crosses coming in there. He's so powerful in the air.
Who's the best player you played against aerially in your time?
I don't know. I played with a very good player, Les Ferdinand, who was probably not very tall but had incredible spring and timing. Alan Shearer was so powerful in the air.
The corners come to nothing for Newcastle, but they do have possession with the goalkeeper here.
Obviously Duncan Ferguson wasn't too bad as well. Played against him a few times.
Yeah, man, still very much in the football mix. Carlo Ancelotti's assistant to Everton these days. But the likes of Andy Carroll are dying breed now, would you say, or not?
Yeah, certainly. It seems that way, doesn't it?
David Luiz swings a high ball forward. Kraft lets it go over his head. It's it over Aubameyang to get it away to Almiron. He's been a good outlet for them, hasn't he, Miguel Almiron?
He's been their best player, certainly. His energy, it's stopping Tierney going forward because he's an attacking threat.
He's gone down here holding his face. He's back up on his feet now, though, when he sees that his side need him on the right as they try and come forward. Joe Ellington's given it away. 90 seconds left of normal time in the first half. Smith Rowe to the left-hand side now. Aubameyang onto his right foot, edge of the penalty area. Can't find the space for the shot. Takes his time. Deliberates what he's going to do. It's deflected and it goes in. It was swinging towards the near post in the end, and Darlow has to palm it behind for a corner.
I'm not sure Darlow got there. Might well have hit the post here. Aubameyang runs out of ideas, really, and just turns back onto his left foot, and he's looking to cross it to the back post, and it takes a deflection of a Kraft off of his back and hits the outside of the post. Darlow was beaten.
Going in, Darlow sprawling across his line though to make sure. Nevertheless, final 60 seconds of the first half. Can Arsenal grab themselves a late lead in this first period? Saka with an outswinger from the left hand side here in front of the north stand at the Emirates. In it comes, and a header towards goal by David Luiz, unmarked. Managed to peel off his man okay there, the Brazilian, but couldn't direct his header on target.
Yeah, the corner worked. It worked perfectly. The ball from Saka's perfect. David Luiz gets away. He's got a free header. He just doesn't quite time it correctly, and he's just leaning away from goal. It's just behind him a little bit, which makes it a harder header.
Darlow could see what was going to happen, and David Luiz may feel as though he should have done better there. Awkward one is it was slightly lower than his normal standing position. We've got just a few seconds left now of normal time. Shouldn't really be any added time at all. We will move into it now, though. In fact, there isn't any. A new trend in the Premier League. The referee's blowing up, bang on the 45 minutes. No goals in the first half. Arsenal have been trying. Newcastle have as well, to their credit. Lots of play down this right-hand side in front of us here with Miguel Almiron on a number of breakaways. They've only had one attempt on goal, which was off target. Arsenal with one attempt on goal themselves. They've dominated possession, but no goals. We'll go over the first half in just a few moments' time. The half-time score here at the Emirates is Arsenal 0, Newcastle 0. You are listening to Premier League Live.
Talk Sport.
Impress lost tribespeople of the Andes by demonstrating the new updated TalkSport app. Listen live, listen again, and listen good, Buster. Download the app at TalkSport.com now. The Sports Bar, weeknights from 10 on TalkSport.
Hello, I'm Andy Goldstein, and of course you can hear me on the Sports Bar with Jason Cundy. We'll be taking all your calls, text, tweets and emails on all the big talking points from the weekend's football. And remember, we bring you the very first look at the next day's back page headlines every single night.
The Sports Bar, weeknights from 10 on TalkSport.
Talk Sport.
Talk Sport. Catch up and listen up without having to cough up. It's free. Go to talksport.com and download the app today. Or don't. Your choice entirely.
Hello, Jim White here. Now, if you're wondering about all the background hullabaloo, I'm helping out as lifeguard at the brand new Talk Sport swimming pool. Goff! No running there, boy! But never mind that. Join me tomorrow morning from 10, when I'll be up to my neck in the warm, chlorinated waters of the day's biggest sports stories. Come plunge with me, Jim White, straight in at the deep end of the action.
Weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport.
Driving home with Darren Goff and Durham, a sporting legend and an angry sports journalist who'll pick a fight with anyone.
Just really winds me up. Absolutely unbelievable.
To say I'm angry is an understatement.
Adrian Durham, what an absolute clown.
Dynamic, double strength drive time radio.
Shall I stay?
I don't like listening to him. I'll turn off.
Do you want me to stay?
Adrian Durham and Darren Goff.
He's an idiot.
Right, who hands up? Who wants me to stay?
Drive time radio.
I don't have to.
Weekdays from 4, only on Talk Sport.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs on Sport. Talk Sport. It's the double O duo on the radio show that's like a collapsible bridge over a shark-infested pool of big names, sporting headlines, and topical debate. Join Paul Alligator Hopscotch Hawksbee and Andy Oddjob Jacobs flying the plane of sporting entertainment out of the horse's bum of conventional radio.
Have we got pussy galore on the show, Andy?
No, Paul, but we've got Todd Macklin's American Sports Roundup. Will that do?
Not really, Andy, no.
Hawksbee and Jacobs, shaken but not stirred. Weekday afternoons from 1 on Talk Sport.
Talk Sport.
Talk Sport. Confuse bookmakers, impress football agents and entertain the kids with the improved Talk Sport app. Totally fun, totally free, totally football. Download it now from talksport.com.
Hey, kids, take my mobile and go over there and play or something. Don't press the button that says Tinder.
Talk Sport.
Welcome back here to the Emirates Stadium, where the half-time score in the Monday Night Football is Arsenal 0, Newcastle 0. Here are the first half highlights. It's Saka inside the box at the other end, right across goal, and Aubameyang hits the frame of the goal. Real let-off there for Newcastle, real chance for Arsenal. It should be 1-0. It was almost an open goal for the Arsenal striker and captain, but he couldn't grab goal number 4 of the season.
He should score, shouldn't he? And it's what I talk about. His left foot is really poor. It is. He needs to work on it. Mikel Arteta should get him out every day working on shooting with his left foot, because it really lets him down.
Now Newcastle can try and break out here with Miguel Almiron, who's gone past Partey and he's away down the right hand side, the Paraguayan. Wilson busting, got to get up there as well. Almiron going alone. Miguel Almiron, Carroll on the left hand side inside the box. He lays it back here to Almiron on his left foot, curls one just over the far post. 0-0 at half-time between Arsenal and Newcastle United. Arsenal dominating possession. There's only been one shot on target in the game. That was for Arsenal. Newcastle have looked good on the breakaway. Arsenal, you would imagine, are probably going to go on and win this game in the second half. But you don't know, do you, Chris Perry?
You don't know, no, because obviously it's 0-0. Newcastle only need one of those breakaways to come off. Someone puts a cross into Andy Carroll at the far post and he puts in a header. Arsenal have been the better team, they've been the dominant team, they've dominated possession, they've dominated territorially, but they've only really created one really good chance, and Aubameyang has to score with his left foot. It's a really, really poor finish for a striker of his quality, and Mikel Arteta will be ruining that missed chance, because the game changes as soon as they're 1-0 ahead. The game changes completely.
What are Arsenal doing right and Arsenal doing wrong in this one so far?
I think they're keeping the ball well. I think they're pinning Newcastle back, but I think they're lacking a little bit of creativity. Certainly Smith Rowers look lively when they can get him on the ball, but in the wide areas I'm not sure if Aubameyang wide left is really helping them at the moment. I think you could probably swap Aubameyang for Lacazette, or you could keep Lacazette on and take Aubameyang off. Maybe get Martinelli out there, who's more natural in the wide areas. Get crosses coming into the box, low and hard across the box. Anything aerially, Newcastle centre-backs, Clark and Lascelles, are so comfortable with. You know, they're not, Lacazette and Aubameyang aren't powerful in there. They're not going to beat him in the air. But it's those low balls in behind them when they have to turn and face their own goal that's going to cause them problems.
And Newcastle, although the stats don't reflect too greatly for them, they've taken part in this game and played their part, haven't they?
The game plan from Steve Bruce is working in terms of they've sat back, they've defended well, they've not allowed Arsenal too many clear-cut chances, and they've looked a threat on the counter-attack on a couple of occasions, particularly with Almiron's pace down the right-hand side. He's forcing Kieran Tierney to actually defend and not attack. Kieran Tierney's big strength and Arsenal's big strength over the last few weeks is when you play Aubameyang on the left, he's so right-footed, you need Tierney to be getting up outside him and creating those balls into the box. And because Almiron's been that attacking threat, he's made Tierney defend, and they haven't had that outlet on the left-hand side, Arsenal.
Do you see Mikel Arteta being a proactive manager and making that potential change sooner rather than later?
I don't see him making it at half-time, but if it gets to around 60, 65 minutes, I think you might see it. I think he'd be a brave man. I personally would take Aubameyang off. I think Lacazette scored 7 goals this season in the Premier League. He's the man who's looked better. He's the man who's looked more likely to score. And you bring on Martinelli, who I think can change a game with his pace and his positivity.
And do you think Newcastle manager Steve Bruce will just want to hedge his bets here and just hope they can kind of slow the game down and see their way through and even maybe nick something themselves?
It'll be interesting with Steve Bruce in terms of how long Andy Carroll can play, whether he can last 90 minutes, because he's working very hard without the ball, because the pair of them are a threat, aren't they? It's an easy ball for Newcastle at the moment in terms of it's a long ball into Andy Carroll, but he's so good. He either wins the flick on, or he's good enough at times to bring it down on his chest and bring others into play. As soon as Andy Carroll goes off, Joe Linton won't offer them that, and no one on their bench is going to offer them that. So it then completely changes the way they have to play.
Nice one. Well, let's move on to the games later this week. Half the games being played last week, half the games being played this week, because this weekend is FA Cup 4th round weekend, so there are no Premier League games. So the games are being split up a bit, and the Premier League table, it's hard to know what to make of it at the moment. Villa have only played 15 games. After tonight, Arsenal, a place behind them, will have played 19. If Villa win, all 4 of their games in hand, they've moved to top of the table. It's hard to know where teams are at the moment, isn't it, really? Because there are so many games in hand.
There are games in hand, but I think when you ask any manager or any player, you like to have the points in the bag and have the games played. Those 4 games in hand are great, but you're probably going to have to play those 4 games in the space of 3 weeks, and it means you're going to be playing Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday all the time, and it does eventually take its toll. It's very hard to win 4 games on the bounce in the Premier League when they're that close together.
West Ham, West Brom tomorrow, your former side down at London Stadium. Do you see them being able to follow up that result against Wolves with a point or 3 against West Ham?
I think if anyone knows how to set up against West Ham, it would be Sam Allardyce. That's for sure. He won't change how they play particularly. It was good to see them have a bit more attacking threat against Wolves. But I think it's tough. It's going to be tough. West Ham are in decent form, and they're actually beating the teams they're supposed to beat this season.
And in terms of Leicester-Chelsea, where are you at the moment on Frank Lampard's reign so far?
I think he did really well last season, but I think it helped him the fact that they had the transfer ban, so there was a little bit less pressure on him. I think the fact that he's brought in the likes of Havertz, Werner, Ziyech over the summer and spent an awful lot of money has piled the pressure on him, and the performances, and for whatever reason the team isn't as fluid as it was last season, and it's not working at the moment. And if they do finish outside, if they were to finish outside the top 6, which sounds ridiculous potentially but isn't unthinkable, then you have to think about his future.
Both those games live for you tomorrow. West Ham against West Brom and Leicester against Chelsea, the late game. The second half between Arsenal and Newcastle is on the way very shortly. Goalless at the break. Hopefully the goals will come in the next 45 minutes. Coming up next, you're listening to Premier League Live.
Talk Sport. 20 years old and still not able to make a cup of tea.
That's a great starting point, I think. Excuse me.
With bitter experience comes great responsibility.
Let's go to Cumbria and Fraser. Fraser, good morning. Hello. Fraser, get out of that lake.
The nation's first and best commercial sports radio station.
Live, lubricated and legendary.
20 years of Talk Sport.
Previously on White and Jordan. When I was at Palace, I would not let them on the training ground. How did you enforce that? Because it's my training ground, you don't go on it.
100% engagement.
I read this and I immediately thought of Simon Jordan.
What you could have won, here's that. Now you get this pile of pup, right?
Warning. Dangerous opinions ahead.
Jim White versus Simon Jordan.
Disagree to disagree continues weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport.
Talk Radio.
Your trusted 24-hour resource for breaking news and non-stop conversation.
We've reached a perilous turning point.
Unparalleled radio for unprecedented times.
Doing nothing in the face of this quite rapid spread now is not an option.
Online, on DAB, and on the Talk Radio app. Talk Radio. Celebrating 20 swashbuckling years of Talk Sport.
Unbelievable!
The passion. The pain.
It's a shocking defeat.
The prima donnas.
I said a hip hop, a hippie to the hip hop, and you don't stop.
On DAB, medium wave, and on your smart speaker.
I didn't say this in my contract when I joined Talk Sport, mate.
20 glorious years of Talk Sport.
I'll do a lot of things, so I ain't into that.
20 years of Talk Sport.
Gentlemen, good evening.
There's no such thing as an overnight success.
Accrington Stanley 4, titanium plasmatronic death droids from the future, 0.
Excess.
I wasn't getting up, I was just getting in.
Excitement.
Excuse me,
And extremely strong opinions.
I spend my life covering the big game at the big level.
On DAB, medium wave, and on your smart speaker. 20 years of Talk Sport.
Previously on White and Jordan.
There will be a mad, dirty rush to turn around and say that taxpayers' money should go to bail out football clubs that won't be able to get the one commodity that needs to take a reduction, players' pay cuts.
A daily landscape of fire, football, and fumes.
Are you confused.com?
I'm confused as to why I'm sitting opposite you at times, yes.
Jim White and Simon Jordan continues weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport.
Celebrating 20 years of Talk Sport. They said it wouldn't work.
What, you want to know what I want to say?
Sometimes it didn't.
Serious? Illegal.
But somehow it did.
And wrongdoing by the US government.
On DAB, medium wave, and on your smart speaker. 20 years of Talk Sport.
You are listening to our coverage of Arsenal against Newcastle United from Emirates Stadium. I'm your host, James Field, and alongside me is the former Tottenham, Southampton and Wimbledon defender, Chris Perry. You are listening to Premier League Live, and the side's on their way back out for the second half. I think Steve Bruce will have just been reinforcing messages he probably gave before the game. Chris Perry?
Yeah, I think he'll be saying more of the same. I think he'll be telling Almiron and Kraft, if they do get the ball wide on that right hand side, to look for those crosses to the far post, because that's where Andy Carroll's naturally pulling onto Cedric Suarez.
Referee just leading the sides back out. Perhaps a bit lenient in the first half, weren't they? The officials, a number of challenges and a handball they let go, and quite a big tackle on Saka on the far side as well. Was it an elbow? Was it from Lewis?
It was an elbow from. It certainly looked like an elbow from Lewis, and it looked like he meant it as well. It wasn't. He looked like he swung his arm at him, and he certainly caught him. And I think Lewis was very fortunate, certainly to escape without a yellow card.
Well, the players just about ready to go here in the second half. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is back out, hoping he can do his bit. Newcastle without a win in 8 matches in all competitions since beating West Bromwich Albion, in the league back on the 12th of December. They've only got 1 goal in their last 6 matches as well. Are you going to back them to net in the second half here to upset Arsenal, Chris Perry?
I can't back them to net a goal, unfortunately. No, not with that record currently, but they must be due a goal, that's for sure.
Joelinton heading the ball infield here off the left-hand side, but it breaks for Granit Xhaka. Holding. Xhaka. Do you think he's playing those two holding midfielders almost to protect himself, because Another home defeat against a team like Newcastle as well would not go down well, would it?
It wouldn't go down well, but then they're probably they might get a home defeat because they're playing two holding midfielders. But I think he's worried about David Luiz. I really do. I think
he needs that added protection.
Yeah.
Saka down the right here, edge of the penalty area. Lewis at his back. Saka shields the ball, holds on to it, but Joelinton back there in the end to nick it back, and it's played away by Longstaff, but given away to Partey. Down the right hand side is Cedric, the former Southampton defender. Checks back onto his left foot. Looks to swing one in here, but then in the end rolls it back, and Partey with a simple ball in field here to Holding. Cries and the screams you can hear from Steve Bruce down beneath us here, trying to get some messages over to his players. Saka, right hand side here. Aubameyang in the penalty area, his cross is deflected. Lacazette takes it down to hit it towards goal as well. Good save, Darlow, and played away by Lascelles. A shot for Arsenal there right at the top of the second half, but Darlow equal to it.
That's a brilliant save from Darlow, wasn't it? It was a beautiful strike on the volley from Lacazette with his right foot, struck it pure and clean. What a strong right hand from Darlow.
Darlow there called into action straight away. Keeping out the club's number one, I guess you'd say, Martin Dubravka, who's now back from injury but can't get in the side. Lacazette gets a bit more height on his effort. He's probably got a chance, hasn't he, at that far post?
Yeah, and it went along the floor, didn't it? It's a fantastic save because he strikes it really well. It's one of those ones where he almost hits it too well. If he drags it a little bit, it probably goes in the bottom corner.
Darlow with this kick away. I mean, he did palm it back out into his penalty area. I guess he's lucky there was no one there in an Arsenal shirt to pounce. He'll probably tell you that was his awareness, and he knew that there was a teammate there to clear the ball.
It was a reaction save. I don't think that he had a lot of control about where it was going to go, but he had to make sure that he got a hand to it.
2.5 minutes gone in the second half. Lacazette has been penalised here by the referee. That's been a bit of a frustrating night for him so far. Plenty of the chances have fallen to his fellow forward Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang to his left hand side. He's either scored or assisted Aubameyang in 5 of the last 6 games against Newcastle in all competitions. Has scored in each of his last 3 against the Magpies. Lewis down the left hand side here has the ball taken away from him by Cedric. It's out of play for a Newcastle throw 5 yards up from the corner flag. Lewis goes to collect the ball. Field here, signed from Norwich City after their relegation last summer. Longstaff shows for the ball here. Lewis doesn't want to hit him, now throws it towards Joelinton, and Saka with a backwards header puts the ball out of play for a corner, and Newcastle will take that.
That's exactly what they're looking for there. What an opportunity now to load the box with Lascelles, Clark, Joelinton, Andy Carroll. There's a real attacking threat there.
Is it as simple as that? As a coach, you'd say, look, let's play that ball close to the goal line so we've got a chance of winning a corner?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. If you think your strength is going to be on set pieces, if you think Arsenal got a weakness defending set pieces, then you're trying to play the ball into those areas of the pitch and try and win corners.
Have you ever worked with a throwing coach like Liverpool have had?
Not a throwing coach, but certainly we worked very hard on set pieces when I was at Wimbledon.
High ball forward here towards Clark. Yes, but get it away.
Vinnie Jones with a very, very effective long throw.
Arsenal breaking out here with Aubameyang on the left hand side, isolating Kraft. Aubameyang to the box on his left foot. He doesn't miss this time. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang makes it 4 in 4 against Newcastle United. He just loves playing against the Magpies, and Arsenal get their breakthrough within 5 minutes of the second half starting. It could be a long night ahead for Newcastle now. Arsenal 1, Newcastle 0.
Yeah, they started the second half well, haven't they? The save from Darlow from Lacazette. This time it's Aubameyang, and Newcastle have just been attacking, and so there's a little bit of space in behind. It's just hooked forward. Thomas Partey, good skill, plays the ball, looking for Aubameyang, and he's got acres of space to run at Kraft. The Kraft doesn't ever get tight enough. He does the cardinal sin for defenders. He drops off and drops off and drops off and drops into his own penalty area. And once he's in the penalty area, he can't make a challenge because he could foul and it'll be a penalty. Aubameyang this time takes it onto his left foot, head down, strikes it, hopes for the best. This time he catches it well into the roof of the net and gives Arsenal the lead.
What do Newcastle United do now? Still play the same way,
They
or
will
throw a
do,
bit more caution?
They'll play the same way for a period of time, but you have to look at some stage to try and get yourself back into the game. But I can imagine that won't be until maybe 15-20 minutes from time with Steve Bruce.
Clark. Lewis. Do you rate Steve Bruce as a manager, given the jobs he's had, plenty of them in the Football League as well as the Premier League?
I think he does a decent job wherever he goes.
But the clubs know what they're signing up for when they employ him?
I think so, yeah. I think Newcastle probably didn't employ Steve Bruce to get them into the top 6. They knew they weren't ever going to get in the top 6, but he will keep you in the league year in, year out.
That's how they play here. A throw into Newcastle on the right-hand side. That goal coming in the 50th minute for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. His 4th of the league season. Steve Bruce looking a little bit down in the dumps as the camera cuts to him on the touchline. Clark, square to Lascelles. Shelby's dropped deep here to receive the ball. He's looking up, he's looking long, he clips it high and long here towards Wilson. David Luiz with the header. Breaks down for Andy Carroll on the right hand side. He's got Kraft on the outside. Shelby. They need Carroll in the box, don't they, rather than dropping off the front?
It was interesting, the long ball went into Callum Wilson rather than the other way round, and into Carroll with Wilson running off him.
Shelby. Longstaff. Two Newcastle central midfielders tonight. Lewis trying to go again here as he tries to receive Joe Ellington's return, and apparently Cedric blocked him.
I'm not sure he did a lot wrong there, Cedric.
Put an arm out, but not really enough to foul his man.
No, cheap foul, wasn't it? Cheap free kick, another opportunity. It's not the best position, but Arsenal need to hold a high line here.
Can Andy Carroll strike? Will he get his chance? Partey the closest man to him. It's whipped in, and the ball nodded on, but into the arms of Leno. Set pieces Newcastle have had, they haven't really got the deliveries right, have they?
No, I mean it was a good high line from Arsenal. When Lascelles won that header, he was on the edge of the 18-yard box. It was difficult.
Arsenal have it here with Holding. His ball forward. Doesn't come to anything. Clark has it on the edge of his own penalty area. Finds Longstaff. Back to Shelby. Safe in possession, John Joe Shelby. Back in the side tonight. Missing Ryan Fraser, suspended. Alistair Maximan missing as well. No Federico Fernandez tonight, Fabian Scher or Paul Dummett. Players missing for Steve Bruce. He's had plenty of that to contend with this season.
Hasn't every team really?
They have.
There certainly seems to have been more injuries or more players missing for whatever reason this season than normal.
Played forward here by Darlow. Foul. Slight nudge by David Luiz on Andy Carroll. It doesn't quite break for Callum Wilson. The referee has blown here for an offside against Newcastle. Just going back to that point you made a second ago, have you found that as an under-18s coach yourself, that you've been losing players to the higher age group or even the first team training?
Not particularly with my age group, no, but I think that certainly with the short pre-season there's been more injuries this season in terms of muscle injuries and things. I don't think coronavirus has affected the bubbles hugely, but I do think there's certainly been more muscle injuries this year than there has been in any other season that I've known.
Is there any way of really preventing that apart from squad rotation?
It's difficult. It's having a big squad, isn't it, and being able to rotate players.
Back on the line here from Lewis as he goes back to Clark. Holding. Takes it down. Saka. Trying to drive here at Newcastle to Lacazette down the right hand side. He's pulled wide. Saka's gone on. The ball back from Lacazette doesn't quite find him. Smith Rowe picks it up on the edge of the penalty area. Xhaka plays it towards the left hand side, and Almiron will bring it away here now for Newcastle United. Clips the ball forward towards Carroll, who was fouled this time by David Luiz.
David Luiz doesn't need to foul him there either. Just doesn't need. Andy Carroll is only, even if he brings it down on his chest, he's only going to be going back towards his own goal. Just don't get tight. Stay on your feet. Make him go backwards.
Is he scared of it? Is he scared of Andy Carroll?
Andy Carroll is very intimidating to play against if you don't think you're particularly strong in the air and it's not a strength of yours, and I don't think David Luiz is particularly strong in the air.
Shelby on the right hand side here, going past Lacazette. Back to Longstaff. Clark just over the halfway line here for Newcastle. Clips a long diagonal towards Carroll on the edge of the box. Wilson back to Carroll, who gets in the strike, and it whistles just past Bernd Leno's near post. Carroll is in the mood tonight, looking for a goal.
He pulls on the diagonal here, brings it down. No one makes a challenge on the edge of the box, and he has got a much better left foot. His left foot is a fantastic wand, and he has got some real power in that and talent in that left foot, and you've got to be very aware of it around the box. People think it's all about his aerial ability, but he's pretty good with his feet too, Andy Carroll.
I seem to remember in his first Newcastle spell, which was obviously a long time ago now, 10 years, scored a goal from miles out, or was it when he was playing for Liverpool maybe? Drove it from 30, 35 yards and it flew into the bottom corner.
He's always had a wonderful left foot and wonderful technique as well.
Partey, lovely technique here to take it away from Longstaff, and a square ball here for Granit Xhaka. Now sends a long diagonal out to the left hand side, but Kieran Tierney won't reach that, and it goes out of play right by the corner flag for a throw in to Newcastle in their own defensive third.
I think if you're Mikel Arteta, you're trying to ask Kieran Tierney to get forward a little bit more, and that ball was inviting him to just slightly overhit from Granit Xhaka.
Newcastle have lost 5 consecutive away games now, beaten at Sheffield United, Arsenal, Manchester City, Brentford in the League Cup as well, having been thrashed 5-2 at Leeds. That was such an opportunity for them, wasn't it, as well, against Brentford, to get further in a cup competition, of which their fans haven't enjoyed much in recent years.
Chance to get to a semi-final, go to Spurs, where actually they've got a really good record, Newcastle, at Spurs in recent years.
Late challenge here on Almiron. He's back up to his feet again. Really pathetic there from the South American. Tierney down the left hand side puts a high ball in, doesn't quite drop for Smith Rowe. Lacazette, edge of the penalty area, trying to carry the ball forward. Newcastle with bodies back there, back to the right hand side. Cedric whips the ball in towards the near post, and Clark heads it away. And out of play for a throw in here to Arsenal. That is really bad play acting, isn't it, from Almiron?
I think it's just in the makeup of the South American player that when they get fouled, they go down and they try and exaggerate it a little bit.
Saka inside the box, Lacazette back to Saka, great chance for 2-0, and a really good block there by Kraft. That ball was heading goalwards, and it does head goalwards now from Tierney, but he loops it over the top of the bar and behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, it was a lovely little set back to him, wasn't it? Saka runs into the box, good play, plays it into the feet of Lacazette, who lays it off for him. You just wonder whether he could have hit it first time and bent it into the far corner, takes the extra touch and does it, just allow the block to be made by Kraft.
Nearly an hour gone. Mikel Arteta's side just need that second goal at the moment, don't they?
If they get the second, you feel the game's beyond Newcastle.
Darlow's long kick forward. But for as long as it's 1-0, Newcastle are still in this match.
Well, Arsenal have only kept one clean sheet in the last 12 home games in the Premier League, so there's hope for Newcastle yet.
Yeah, that clean sheet did come this season. Not a way back now, though. Throw in here to Newcastle on the left hand side, but Lewis has stolen a few yards too many up the touchline. David Coote, the referee, ordering him back. Lewis with this throw, looking for the option. Nowhere to throw it, tries to find Joe Ellington. Partey nicks it back somehow, and it's fired forward for Lacazette to chase. Lascelles will head it square here to Kraft. Ball down the right hand side. Almiron shields it here from Tierney. Starting to see shades of why they bought into the club, Almiron. It's never really justified the fee they bought him for, has he?
I think he's showed glimpses, hasn't he? He's not a wide right player, is he? He's a number 10 who needs a decent centre forward to play off.
Kraft on the right wing. He'll cross here into a good area, and Leno catches it on his goal line under no pressure there, the Arsenal goalkeeper.
It's a real opportunity to get a good ball in, and it's far too close to Bernd Leno.
Aubameyang, the goal scorer. His goal came 10 minutes ago. It's fed Smith Rowe here down the left hand side into the penalty area, taking on Lascelles. Back for Saka, 2-0, and that may be the point in the bag for Arsenal. Lovely play by Emile Smith Rowe, the two Arsenal youngsters combining, and then it was cut back for Bukayo Saka, who had the simplest of finishes. Newcastle in big trouble, Arsenal 2 up.
Yeah, it's a really good goal, isn't it? And it's made in the Arsenal Academy, isn't it? Thomas Partey. They eventually get it out to Aubameyang, who just releases Emil Smith-Rowe, and he's running 1-on-1 at Jamal Lascelles. And Jamal Lascelles looks a little bit heavy-legged, if you're asking me. Doesn't ever get tight enough, doesn't stop Emil Smith-Rowe at all. Smith-Rowe takes him one way, takes him down the line, then cuts back inside, just rolls it to the penalty spot where Bukayo Saka is arriving completely unmarked on his left foot, just passes it into the bottom corner through the legs of Kieran Clark. Darlow's got no chance, and Arsenal have that crucial second goal.
The goal made at London Colney, Arsenal's training ground, finished here at their stadium, the Emirates, and Saka there converting for his 4th goal of the season, netted in the 4-0 win against West Brom at the start of the month, and scores here against Newcastle to give them something more to think about here, because now they are going to have to throw caution to the wind, otherwise they're just going to dissolve in this game almost, really, as a team.
Absolutely. Does he change things now? He can't change the system now because he's got to go for it, Steve Bruce. But Emil Smith-Rowe now, 5 Premier League games in a row he's played, 3 assists now in those last 5 Premier League games. Really starting to live up to the billing, really starting to look a player.
Yeah, joint top of the assist chart for Arsenal this season now, on 3 with Willian, a man who's been criticised a fair amount since his move from Chelsea. People saying he's not the player he was, he shouldn't have been given the contract he has been.
I think the difference between Smith-Rowe's assists and Willian's assists, most of Willian's assists have been from set pieces, whereas Smith-Rowe's are in open play.
Down the right hand side here, Lacazette, Saka driving towards the edge of the penalty area. Smith-Rowe back for Lacazette. Smith-Rowe, they're working it nicely here, Arsenal. Xhaka from range drives in the shot, blocked by Lascelles. Xhaka helping it forward again, and Kraft gets it away. Almiron trying to bring it out. Shelvey. Do you think Steve Bruce comes under pressure here? Oh, we'll talk about that in a second, as Almiron slips it forward for Callum Wilson in the right channel, running against Holding inside the box. Wilson taking it alone, striking alone, but it's blocked by the recovering Holding, and away to the right hand side where Wilson has picked it up again. Back it goes to Carroll on the right wing. They need him in the box, not out there. Now he trots forward into the penalty area. On the halfway line it's Lascelles. Square here for Kieran Clark. Gets the ball out of his feet, plays it left to Lewis. Forward into Joe Ellington, who can't control the ball. Cedric wins it back, and Arsenal can play forward now themselves. Lacazette on the halfway line. Smith-Rowe making a run to the right. He goes left instead to Xhaka. Aubameyang wanted the ball, he doesn't get it. Xhaka to Smith-Rowe. Saka. Xhaka. Partey. Back over to the left-hand side, David Luiz. Just going back to that question, do you think Steve Bruce will come under pressure? Is he under pressure?
I think he's definitely under pressure, yeah, without a doubt. Not won any of the last 6 Premier League games, going to be 7 by the looks of it. 1 goal in the last 7, probably, if they don't get a goal tonight. Certainly pressure will come on Steve Bruce.
But with this season the way it is
I think with finances the way they are, and with the fact that Mike Ashley, everyone knows he wants to sell the club, you probably don't change a manager and spend all that money that it's going to cost to move Steve Bruce on and bring in someone else, because you've got a pretty good inkling that there's probably 3 worse teams in the league than Newcastle.
High ball here towards Saka, the scorer of the second goal. Newcastle get it back. Lewis just easing it back here to Lascelles, who finds Darlow. Ball forward, it goes all the way through to the other end though, and Leno is there to pick it up. One goalkeeper, played in every game this season. Backup Gunnarsson hasn't looked too convincing when he's featured in the cup competitions. Partey.
No, I mean, when you think that they had Martinelli as number 2 and number 1 at the end of last season.
Martinez, you mean? Sorry,
Martinez. Yeah, Emi Martinez.
I know you like Martinelli, but I think he can play goal as well.
You're right, James. Sorry, yeah, Emi Martinez, who's moved on to Villa and has been outstanding for Villa.
Cedric.
I did wonder whether Arsenal got rid of the wrong goalkeeper, if I'm honest.
Yeah, they had another goalkeeper as well, Matt Macy, who's a first-team player. He's about 6'8" or 6'9", something.
Gone to Hibernian recently, hasn't he? Yeah.
Finally left the club.
Yeah.
Tierney cuts it back here. Aubameyang inside the box. Back to Tierney on the left. Low ball. It was Lacazette and Smith Rowe, and neither of them can apply the finishing touch to wrap this game up once and for all.
But it's so easy for Arsenal now. I think Newcastle are tiring, visibly tiring in front of us.
Saka wide right. Smith Rowe's gone past him. Saka to the walls of far post. Lacazette, great save. Darlow turns it behind for a corner. We expected the net to ripple, but Lacazette denied.
It's a good save from Darlow. I think Lacazette, it's another brilliant move. Question mark whether he's onside or not, but Saka cuts on his left but bends it to the far post. He is onside. Does everything rightly. He tries to head it down. It's just a matter of whether it's going to hit Darlow. He makes himself as big as he can, and he gets lucky and makes the save, but keeps Newcastle just about in this game.
Thomas Partey coming off here. His night is done with a quarter of the game to run, and his replacement here is going to be Mohamed El Neni.
Like for like, isn't it? El Neni's had a good season, actually. Really good season.
And then he played the full game against Newcastle last week. Of course, it went to the end of extra time. Arsenal corner here. Smith Rowe from the left, curls in the cross, headed away by Callum Wilson. He's really given his all for Newcastle. Not to say that no one else has, but he's really been everywhere for them, hasn't he? Really justifying his place in the side.
He has, yeah, absolutely. He's defended well from set pieces. He's run really hard. He's closed down. But I don't think anyone in that black and white shirt has let themselves down. I think they've all worked as hard as they can. I just don't think they've got the quality.
Coming up, Newcastle away at Villa on Saturday. Villa haven't played for quite some time now because of COVID-19. Then they've got Leeds at home. You never really know what you're going to get from Leeds, do you? Losing at home to Brighton, at the weekend.
Wonderful goal from Brighton. What a team goal that was.
And then they go to Everton in their final game in January. Arsenal, as we said, FA Cup away at Southampton, or a trip to Shropshire to play Shrewsbury on Saturday. And then they are definitely away to Southampton 3 days later.
They've had trouble at Southampton in recent years as well, Arsenal.
And then their next game here against Manchester United. Tierney from range here, driving in the shot as it sat up, but well wide of goal. And a change here, as soon as see Jacob Murphy come on for Newcastle. Is this going to be for Joe Ellington or Andy Carroll? No, it's Andy Carroll.
Yeah, you have to think that Jacob Murphy will go and play in those wide areas, and that Joe Ellington will play more central now.
So this is probably going to change the way that Newcastle play by default, isn't it?
Not necessarily. I think Joe Ellington may well go up alongside Callum Wilson.
Can they hit him with as much reliability as Carroll?
He won't hold it up and win as many headers as Andy Carroll, no, but...
Murphy's gone to the right-hand side of midfield for Newcastle. Longstaff being chased here by Xhaka, a bit too much. Free kick Newcastle. Newcastle haven't got a result against Arsenal since April 2018, when they won 2-1 at St James's thanks to Ayosi Perez and Matt Ritchie. I said Perez, who was doing so well at Newcastle, but his move to Leicester has been really quite bad. Hasn't worked out for him at the King Power. Hasn't replicated his form. Got 30 odd million for him though, Newcastle. Holding, turns, plays the ball into the Egyptian El Neni. Xhaka keeping control of the ball here, Arsenal. El Neni holding. Back to David Luiz. Edu's the sporting director here at Arsenal these days, isn't he? Do you think he'll want to switch a lot of the squad around in the summer? The key areas, the spine perhaps, or not?
They've got a decent spine there now. Do they need another, probably a better centre forward than Lacazette? Probably, if they're going to push on into the top four.
But is it the same old problem for them in terms of the area of the pitch they really need to strengthen?
I think Pablo Maria's looked really good when he's played. I really like the look of him, and I think Rob Holding's had a good season. if they can add another defender to that's of that sort of quality, then I think they're all right at centre-back.
Aubameyang towards the edge of the box here. Lacazette back to goal. Saka curling one over the top and into the stand.
I think Tierney is and will turn into be one of the best left backs in the league. I think Bellerin has been returning to that sort of form, but may well move on in the summer. I know there's been a lot of interest from Barcelona in him. Obviously came from there as a young kid.
So what are they really missing then? What's going to take them to that next level where they're going to be challenging for top honours again?
I think Smith Rowe's showing signs that he could be the number 10 that they're looking for. I think they need a better midfielder than they've got at the moment, in terms of they've got a defensive midfielder in Thomas, they've got Xhaka who's the defensive midfielder, they've got El Neni who's the defensive midfielder. Who's the best of those? Thomas Partey, you'd imagine, and you'd say. So then they need someone who's
can take them up the field,
so a box-to-box type midfielder, which they haven't quite got at the moment. And then you're looking at, is Smith Rowe going to be the answer in the long term? Maybe, but you probably need someone else who can play that role and be effective in that role as well, because there's going to be ups and downs from Emil Smith Rowe. He's a young player.
We've got 19 or 18 and a half minutes left of normal time here. Newcastle 2-0 down. They just seem to run out of steam here, and as Chris was predicting earlier in the game, Tierney here on the left loops a ball into the box towards Lacazette. He goes down inside the area. He says he was fouled.
It's cheap. There may be hands on his back, but it's very, very slight contact from Jamal Lewis, I think it was.
So free kick here to Newcastle by their own corner flag.
I think
still moaning.
There's definitely contact, but whether it's enough to actually force him to go to ground or not, I'm not sure.
Seeing a replay now. Push from Lewis, or the hands anyway. I say push.
There's hands on his back, but
high ball forward. On by Joelinton towards Callum Wilson. It's a Newcastle throw inside to Joelinton. Wilson again on the left hand side. Wilson can't find Joelinton though. Saka driving forward down the right. Smith Rowe's made the run. Aubameyang's racing forward in the middle. If he can find him, the ball didn't have the legs on it. Otherwise it probably would have been 3-0.
He saw that. He played the right pass, didn't he, Smith Rowe? He just didn't have enough pace on it. Holding his hands in his head, on his head there, really, knowing that was the chance to put the game to bed. Aubameyang, Kraft was never going to catch him if the ball was good.
Held his line well, didn't he? Just needed that ball into his path and he would have probably gobbled up the chance.
Yeah, you'd like to think so. After getting that goal earlier in the game, his confidence would have been high.
He's had a play here for a Arsenal throw on the right hand side. Foul throw by Cedric, I was going to say. Players seem to get away with them these days, but the refereeing team on top of that one. Throw in here to Newcastle. 10 press-ups for your under-18s, wouldn't it, if you get a foul throw in one of your games?
We get a few of them every now and again, yeah.
Thrown forward here. Good header by Cedric to send it back. Smith Rowe takes it down. Xhaka. Square for El Neni, the substitute. Out to the left-hand side. Tierney. Seeing a graphic on our screen in terms of distance covered by players. Do you read too much into that as a former player yourself? Were you given that kind of data when you were playing?
Yeah, I got that sort of data. Yeah, we had it. It depends what you're looking for, really. If the performance is good, sometimes the distances don't necessarily show, because Arsenal are so in control of this game that the two centre-backs have got an absolute cigar on, really, haven't they? So, they're not going to run particularly high. They haven't won too many set pieces, so they're not going up and down the pitch as much as they would do. But it's interesting for me to see it was the two young boys that are top there, and that's what the young players this season have done for Arsenal. They've injected energy into their performances, and that's what they were lacking early on in the season.
Also have it on the right hand side here with Saka back to Smith Rowe. Holding. Arsenal have been so advanced in this game that, just counting up here, 7 of their players' average position has been inside the Newcastle half.
They've been so dominant, haven't they, from minute one? And it was by design a little bit for Newcastle. But when you go a goal down, you have to have some sort of plan B, you'd imagine. And they haven't had that. and Arsenal have got the second goal. And when you scored 1 goal in 6 games, to score 1 seems hard enough, but to go and score 2 to get anything seems almost impossible.
We touched on it earlier, but do you think Arsenal are capable of going on a run and sustaining their place to finish in the top places for Europe next season, or not?
I think that they may well finish Europa League spots. They'll be certainly in the battle for Europa League spots. I think the Champions League is beyond them this season. I think it's a work in progress, but you can definitely see progress being made, and players starting to stick their head above the water and say, I'm going to be the next number 10. Saka has certainly come out and said, I'm going to be the next wide right or wide left at Arsenal now.
Well, there is one European place that I don't think teams are going to want to have next season, are they? Because now the winners of the Carabao Cup, or, you know, if it's already one of the top teams, they'll get deferred to a league position, is qualification for the Europa Conference League. Andorra away on a Thursday night, fancy that?
It's something to win, though, isn't it? You know, you'd fancy them to win it, wouldn't you, if they were in it?
But you'd not even play, you know, your reserves almost, because, you know, well, I guess you would play your reserves, but the games are going to be so bad to watch. Cedric in behind here, cuts it back, and that is 3-0. Aubameyang in. What a run it was there from Cedric down the right-hand side. It looked as though he was going to carry the ball out, but he finds the Gabon international, who lashes it into an empty net. This game is done. 3-0 Arsenal, 3 points.
It's brilliant from Cedric, but it's really poor defence. Newcastle look absolutely out on their feet. Cedric gets to the byline, gets his head up, it might just be in. I think there might be a millimetre in here. This is going to be really tight to see whether it's off. There might be just a little bit of ball in. He cuts it back to Aubameyang, and it's a brilliant finish. The confidence, it's on his right foot, 10 yards out, and he just side foots it, punches it into the net. The only question is was it in?
Well, I think a tiny fraction of the ball was hanging on the line there.
Yeah, I think so too. It looked just about in, didn't it?
It looks like the goal is going to be given. A pause after Dr. Dre's music rings around the Emirates, something you don't normally hear. Great run though, wasn't it, by Cedric? Taking it inside, just keeping it in play, and Aubameyang wasn't going to miss that. Maybe on his left foot, not on his right.
No, not on his right. You can see how much more controlled and confident he was on his right foot. This is a really good finish, because that's easy to miss or sky over the bar, and he just punches it with confidence into the net.
That goal coming for Arsenal in the 77th minute. Still we wait, I'm not really sure why. We've seen a pretty definitive replay already, haven't we? The pause goes on.
Right,
Willian about to come on as well.
Willian's going to come on, so obviously
Willian coming on here, just trying to see who it is who's made way. Play back underway. Goal is given, and Arsenal lead by 3-0. And is it Aubameyang who's gone off here, possibly?
It could be, couldn't it?
Here come Newcastle with Murphy down the right, his ball in towards the near post, easily taken by Leno.
If you're Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and you've got 2 goals and you've been struggling for goals this season, you'd want to stay on the pitch and try and get a hat-trick, wouldn't you?
Longstaff has been substituted here for Jeff Hendrick as well. So a second change for Newcastle. David Luiz, and it is Aubameyang who's gone off, so the captain makes way. Willian, a player I used to love watching at Chelsea, glides around the field, great touch, great technique, but seems, speaking to those who watch him week in, week out, doesn't seem to tell the full story.
Not quite found his feet at Arsenal yet. Not quite found where his position is and where he fits into this Arsenal team as yet, but very talented player, certainly wonderful right foot from set pieces.
32 now, at a club that has a long history of great Brazilian players. Edu, who we were talking about a few minutes ago, the sporting director, one of those back in the Highbury days. Here is Willian now, driving at John Joe Shelvey, goes wide left to Tierney. Arsenal looking to fill their boots. Only scored 9 goals here before tonight. They've now got 3 in 80 minutes. Willian up against Shelvey. Back to the left-hand side. Tierney trying to cross, deflected into the path of Darlow. Beaten here by Man City recently in the League Cup 4-1. They're beaten here by Burnley, Leicester, Wolves, to name a few others. 10 to go here now. And Arsenal have just got to control the game here, haven't they? And just make sure they don't lose that clean sheet.
Absolutely. You've got Xhaka in on any who would not particularly ambitious to get forward, so they're just going to sit there and protect the back four.
Saka's just been trod on here.
Yeah, I don't think he meant it, did he? But painful nevertheless.
And another change here for Arsenal with 9.5 minutes to go. It's going to see the withdrawal here of Emile Smith-Rowe. An appraisal of his performance, please.
Excellent. He's been absolutely excellent from start to finish. His energy levels, he's always looked for the ball. He's been creative. He's assisted one of the goals. It's a really good performance and a really mature performance by him.
Gabriel Martinelli is a man who's come on here. You're a big fan.
I'm a big fan, yeah. I think he's a really, really big player for Arsenal in the future, this kid.
19 years old, signed from Ituano, the Brazilian side. 3 goals in 14 appearances last season after 6 in 13 in Brazil. A man who's a dynamic player, isn't he?
He is, yeah. Got bags and bags of pace, very direct, very difficult to play against.
Shelvey forward here to Callum Wilson, wide right, edge of the penalty area. Arsenal with bodies back against him. Tierney holds it on the goal line here, but it's played away by David Luiz to safety on the halfway line, but out of play it goes. It's a Newcastle United throw. And Smith-Rowe takes a well-deserved rest. I'm pretty happy with the way things have panned out this evening. And why not? Arsenal 3-0 up. He got the assist for the second goal for Saka. Aubameyang with the goals either side. And I guess Mikel Arteta will be relieved, won't he, given that it was scoreless at half-time. We just weren't sure how the second half was going to pan out, but Arsenal getting that quick-fire goal was just what they needed.
It was, just after half-time. To be fair, they came out, didn't they, very positively. You know, Lacazette had the shot that was saved by Darlow just before Aubameyang scored. It always looked like it was going to be a matter of time before Arsenal got that first goal. Newcastle never really showed enough intent to get forward and go and win the game.
Clark clips the high ball forward here. Murphy tries to leave it for Wilson. Hendrick now picks it up. Shelvey. Newcastle's trying to freshen things up there with Hendrick coming on.
Just fresh legs in that midfield area. You think how hard Longstaff and Shelvey have had to work in that area of the pitch. How much defending they've had to do, shuffling across the pitch, because Arsenal have been so dominant.
It's had a play here for a Arsenal goal kick. Do you think Steve Bruce will be feeling hard done by after this game, probably telling the press that, you know, his side probably had some half chances in the first half they should have done better with, or not?
He'd be clutching at straws, wouldn't he? They didn't ever offer, even in the first half, offer an attacking threat, really, did they? I mean, they had the one shot from Almiron from the edge of the box that wasn't really on. That was it.
They lose to Villa on Saturday. That would be 5 straight defeats. It would be 7 defeats in their last 8 games in all competitions.
Yeah, my money would definitely be on Villa. They've been really good this season, I think.
Missing Ross Barkley at the moment through injury. Grealish, of course, the key player for Dean Smith's side. Ollie Watkins up front, who's adapted really well to life in the Premier League after joining for big money from Brentford.
A couple more goals, doesn't he? Obviously did really well against Liverpool, but then the goals from it have been really hard to come by.
Lacazette caught here on the edge of the penalty area. David Coote had a look at it just to see if there was going to be an advantage. There wasn't, and an Arsenal free kick on the edge of the D.
It's a tighter challenge from Lascelles, completely mistimed. How he's got away without a yellow card again. That's on the edge of the box and he takes it past him. That has to be a yellow card.
Hasn't been a booking tonight.
No.
But there's certainly a number of cases where there could have been. David Coote not willing to go to his pocket. 5 minutes to go of normal time. Who's your favourite to take this one? Dead centre.
Willian looks as though he's lining up to me. He's got a very good record from set. This is really difficult for Carl Darlow, this one, because it is literally centre of the goal. So what side do you line your wall up? it's a big choice. This is a real opportunity for Willian, because he can now go, because the ball's so central, he can go either side, and it's really difficult for Darlow.
You rarely see free kicks in this position.
No.
They always tend to have an angle on them for whatever reason.
Absolutely.
Willian here just has to pick which side he wants to go. The goalkeeper's lined up the wall to his left. Willian now stepping up to the ball. 25 yards out, curls it into the top of the wall and away. Looking for his first Arsenal goal, but he's not going to get it there.
The wall stayed big and strong, jumped and blocked it well.
Willian back to the halfway line to David Luiz, his fellow countryman, with a wayward ball towards Cedric. In the end, Leno can take it back into his own penalty area, but David Luiz is showing what he's capable of in a negative sense there, I think.
You never know what you're going to get with David Luiz. He can be brilliant on his day, but he can also be absolutely calamitous.
In a way that I can't think of another Premier League player particularly like him, to be honest, in history.
To have such probably the massive difference between his size, that's a really poor challenge from Lascelles again, and he's got away with it again.
Apologies if you heard any fruity language there. Martinelli and Kieran Tierney voicing their displeasure at that tackle from Lascelles, who went in full-blooded.
He should be off the pitch now, because he should have got a yellow card a minute ago, and that should be a yellow card.
That is so aggressive.
Yeah.
He's nearly taken Martinelli's head off. Almiron is heading off. He's been substituted, and on in his place is Elliot Anderson. No more at this stage really than to give him a few minutes, I think, because Steve Bruce knows the game is gone. Really can't believe that hasn't been looked at for a period of time. I mean, it has been looked at, obviously, but, to the point where the game has been stopped or even offered up to the referee. Lewis with a header away here. Shelby helps it on its way square to Hendrick, who's crowded out immediately. Tierney wings it back on the left-hand side. Inside to Granit Xhaka. Willian. Down the line it goes. Can Arsenal get the cross in? They can't, but they can win a corner as it's slid behind by Emil Kraft.
That was a good ball from Willian, wasn't it? Really lovely weighted ball, giving Kieran Tierney the chance to get forward.
Given the challenges we've had in this game, who's the luckiest player to still be on, who's the luckiest player to still be on the pitch?
I think Lascelles, because that's 2 yellow cards, 100% yellow cards, probably with any other referee in any other game. I think Jamal Lewis might have been a yellow. That you'd have looked at it for a red, but probably would have been a yellow, and he hasn't done anything else in the game.
Williams' corner from the left here for Arsenal towards the near post and David Luiz, but mistimed his header, and I think it bounced off his shoulder or his back in the end and behind.
It's another really good chance. Wonderful ball from Willian. Really whipped him with power and pace to the near post. Beats the first man. David Luiz meets it. Just mistimes his jump. He should score.
Scored in the Europa League against Rapid Vienna back in October. Hasn't scored in the league this season. 90 seconds to go. The game is done, isn't it, Chris Perry?
No, the game's been done ever since they got the second goal. But you could pretty much argue that the game's been done from minute one, because Newcastle have had no ambition to win this game at all.
Apart from one way, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Give them a tiny bit of something.
Not even that, really, because
you're playing percentages.
You're hoping that Arsenal aren't good enough to break you down. You're hoping.
But this is what Newcastle have been doing in so many games this season, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Just so passive in almost every game.
Against Sheffield United was the one that absolutely flabbergasted me.
Willian. And then ultimately that comes down to the manager, doesn't it? Look, he's setting them up. He's putting the players in those positions in that style of play.
Absolutely.
And Steve Bruce might say, I've got an overall a decent record with what I'm working with or whatever, but the facts are there in the games they've played this season. He's been the pragmatist, hasn't he?
He's always been a pragmatist, but even more so this season than any other season I've seen them.
Willian here, left side for Arsenal, flag up against him for offside. Free kick to Newcastle. 15 seconds left of normal time. Has there been an outstanding player on the field for you today, Chris Perry?
I have to say, I'd probably say Smith Rowe was the outstanding player on the pitch today. but I think there's been a lot of good performances in red shirts particularly, and I don't think anyone in a black and white shirt has let their side down. I think they've worked their socks off. I think they've been given no chance to win the game.
Newcastle come forward down the right. Is it a step in the right direction for Arsenal? Can they take much from this game?
Yeah,
given how Newcastle have set up.
They've struggled against teams that have sat back and defended deep, and so the fact that they've scored 3 goals is a plus. Definitely, and it's another victory, and then they're moving in the right direction, Arsenal.
3 minutes of added time here. Newcastle coming forward looking for a consolation. Anderson wide, Kraft trying to bend the ball in. Their manager Steve Bruce has never won a Premier League game at Arsenal, losing 8 of his 11 games.
Well, he's only won 2 of 30 against Arsenal in his managerial career. That's a pretty terrible record, isn't it?
Do you think, because, you know, we've seen what Arsenal have been like over the year. They've been about pace, they've been about attacking football. Break-off this long throw comes in here for Newcastle, Tierney away. Do you think it's because he probably has a default setting in his head of how to get against them and how to attack them, and it hasn't worked?
Yeah, probably, yeah. I mean, but whatever, if you look at, he's lost 22, drawn 6 and won 2 against Arsenal in 30 Premier League games. That's 31 now, he's won 2 games. So whatever he's been doing, it hasn't been working, so...
maybe try
something different. Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Well, they meet again on the weekend of the 1st and 2nd of May, so he's got a couple of months to come up with a plan.
If he's there. Well, if he's still in a job by then.
That is a fair point. He's had 68 games now in charge of Newcastle since replacing Rafa Benitez in the summer of 2019. After only 18 games before that when he was at Sheffield Wednesday. Hounded out of Aston Villa in his previous job, had a cabbage thrown at him in a game I was at. That's probably one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. You hoping to have no vegetables thrown at you in your managerial career, Chris Perry? Do you think your style of play is ever going to result in the...
I'd like to think not. I like to play quite attacking, to be honest, but a little bit easier, a little bit less pressure at the level I coach at the moment.
45 seconds to go here. Arsenal just keeping possession and playing their way out from the back quite comfortably. Saka, Xhaka, out to the left hand side for Tierney, racing down the left hand side, his shirt tucked into his shorts that are hoisted high up on his body here. Willian inside to Xhaka, maybe time for one final goal. Saka, Tierney inside the box on the left hand side, lifts it in, flicked into the air by Martinelli. Can't really get the direction. Behind for a goal kick, and that will do for time.
Yeah, that will be it. It's been a comprehensive victory for Arsenal in the end. Lacked a little bit of creativity first half, but have dominated the game possessionally, territorially, and thoroughly deserved.
Full-time whistle from referee David Coote. 3 goals and 3 points for Arsenal. 2 for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and Bukayo Saka with the goal sandwiched in between. We didn't know how it was going to go at half-time when it was 0-0, but ultimately 3 goals for Arsenal in the second half have secured the points. We'll get Chris Perry's thoughts in just a second. First, here are the match highlights. Arsenal breaking out here with Aubameyang on the left-hand side, isolating Kraft. Aubameyang to the box on his left foot. He doesn't miss this time. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang makes it 4-4 against Newcastle United. He just loves playing against the Magpies, and Arsenal get their breakthrough within 5 minutes of the second half starting. It could be a long night ahead for Newcastle now. Arsenal 1, Newcastle 0. Aubameyang, the goal scorer. His goal came 10 minutes ago. It's fed Smith Rowe here down the left hand side into the penalty area, taking on himself. Back for Saka, 2-0, and that may be the points in the bag for Arsenal. Lovely play by Emile Smith Rowe, the 2 Arsenal youngsters combining, and then it was cut back for Bukayo Saka, who had the simplest of finishes. Newcastle in big trouble, Arsenal 2 up.
Yeah, it's a really good goal, isn't it? And it's made in the Arsenal Academy, isn't it? Smith Rowe takes him one way, takes him down the line, then cuts back inside, just rolls it to the penalty spot where Bukayo Saka is arriving completely unmarked on his left foot, just passes it into the bottom corner through the legs of Kieran Clark. Darlow's got no chance, and Arsenal have that crucial second goal.
Cedric in behind here, cuts it back, and that is 3-0. Aubameyang in. What a run it was there from Cedric down the right-hand side. It looked as though he's going to carry the ball out, but he finds the Gabon international, who lashes it into an empty net. This game is done. 3-0 Arsenal. 3-0 it finished here at the Emirates. Chris Perry has been alongside me this chilly Monday evening to watch it all. Chris, your overall thoughts on the game?
It's been exactly probably what Mikel Arteta wanted. He got a clean sheet, which they've been struggling with at home. They've won the game comfortably. They scored 3 goals. He hasn't got any major injuries. He's been able to get Martinelli and a couple of other players a bit more game time. It's been a perfect night for Arsenal, and Newcastle really just came here and capitulated.
And now I guess Mikel Arteta will put his feet up and watch Southampton against Shrewsbury in the FA Cup tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely, and prepare and know that they've got the extra day to rest and prepare and get ready for what will be a difficult game, particularly if it's against Southampton, where they've struggled over the last few years.
Where do Newcastle go from here? What do you think Steve Bruce will be saying in the dressing room after the game? Because I wouldn't say he's hung them out to dry, but he's really only gone into it, as we said, with like a one-dimensional game plan, hasn't he?
Let's give him a little bit of credit. He's tried something new tonight, hasn't he? He's tried a new formation for them. He's tried to be attacking. He's got attacking players on the pitch. It hasn't worked. So it's back to the drawing board for Steve Bruce, and the more questions are going to be answered, because he's tried to set them up ultra defensively. That hasn't worked. He's tried to set them up ultra attacking. That hasn't worked. He's got to try and find a way that they can score goals and win games, and it's looking very, very difficult, because if Callum Wilson doesn't score, they haven't got any goals from anywhere else on the pitch.
Can you see him setting up in a similar fashion against Villa on Saturday?
I think not. I think he'll go back to tried and tested 5-4-1, try and make sure there's no space for Jack Grealish to receive in between the lines, and try and make it as difficult as he can.
I love how you describe it as 5-4-1, by the way, because obviously, you know, lots of teams play a back 3 these days, but you're saying it because it really is a back 5.
It's a back 5 with Newcastle. Absolutely, some teams absolutely it's a 3-4-3 or a 3-5-2. But with Newcastle, it's a 5-4-1.
Can you? Where do the next points come from? Leeds. I mean, Leeds will be all over them, won't they? We know about Leeds' stats.
Well, the problem for Leeds is they like to play teams that come at them a bit and press high up the pitch. Newcastle won't allow. You wouldn't have thought Steve Bruce would allow that to happen. And Leeds are another team that struggle to break teams down when teams don't come out at them. And so it's the sort of game that they could possibly nick something, but you never know what you're going to get with. They can be absolutely superb on their day, Leeds. Leeds could go there and win 4-5-0 comfortably.
Newcastle are 7 points above the relegation zone. Teams behind them like Burnley and Fulham have got games in hand on them. Do you see it going right down to the final day with this bunch of teams?
I do. Yeah, I do. I think Fulham are looking pretty good fettle at the moment. They're in pretty good form. Have played quite well recently. Got some decent results. Burnley are always superbly organised and know exactly what they're doing under Sean Dyche, and will always pick up points and be difficult to play against. For me, they're a better team than Newcastle. And it's going to be difficult.
Do you see either of these teams strengthening in January or going with what they've got?
You'd like to think certainly that Arsenal may try and bring 1 or 2 in. I mean, obviously Ozil looks like he's gone today, doesn't he? They've lost Kolasinac as well to Schalke, haven't they? So whether they try and bring maybe a couple in, 1 or 2 in, but I wouldn't have thought there'll be massively big signings that are going to take the club hugely forward. But Newcastle look as though they need to bring something in. They need to bring in, for me, they need to bring in a player that's going to get them goals from centre forward. Someone alongside Callum Wilson who can nip in with 7 or 8 goals in a season.
We've got a couple of minutes now before we go off air. Arsenal 3-0 winners in this one. Just to check on some of the other Premier League games this week. Man City Villa on Wednesday promises to be an interesting game, doesn't it?
I think so, yeah. I think, as I said, I've been really impressed with Dean Smith's Aston Villa this season. They've got a style of play, they've got a brand of play. Jack Grealish is absolutely central to that. But they've got some other really good players. You mentioned Ollie Watkins. McGinn's a fantastic player as well, I think. And they've defended really well. And they look a tough nut to crack. But at the moment, Man City, for me, are the best team in the league on current form. They look pretty much back to their best. They're controlling games. They're scoring goals. And the best thing for Manchester City is they don't look like they're going to concede many.
And a team who are a tougher nut to crack, Fulham. And Scott Parker getting plenty of praise these days, isn't he?
Yeah, they look a completely different team. He's done a brilliant job, Scott. He's stopped them conceding goals. They were conceding far too many goals. Very easy to play against early on in the season. They've stopped that, himself and Matt Wells, who's his assistant down there. And they've got some attacking flair, and they've got a real plan at the moment. They've got pace on the counter-attack with Lookman and De Cordova-Reid. They look a decent outfit at the moment, and they need, while they're playing well, to try and pick up as many points as they can.
Can they get something against Manchester United quickly?
It's going to be very tough, isn't it? It's going to be tough, because if you come out against Manchester United, you open up the counter-attack, and that's what Martial, Rashford and players like that are looking for.
Chris Perry, it's been a pleasure to have you with us tonight. I hope you've enjoyed it. It was a 3-0 win for Arsenal in the end. Newcastle gave it a good fight in the first half, but in the second, undone by Arsenal's class. 2 goals for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and Bukayo Saka as well, with his 4th goal of the season. It's been a good night for the Gunners. It's a 5th win in 6 games for them in all competitions after that 0-0 draw against Crystal Palace on Thursday. So much Premier League football to look forward to this week. 2 games tomorrow. We'll be back with West Ham, West Brom and Leicester, Chelsea. Until then, it's goodbye from us. You are listening to Premier League Live.
Talk Sport.
Talk Sport. Impress lost tribespeople of the Andes by demonstrating the new updated Talk Sport app. Listen live, listen again, and listen good, Buster. Download the app at talksport.com now. The Sports Bar, weeknights from 10 on Talk Sport.
Hello, I'm Andy Goldstein, and of course you can hear me on the Sports Bar with Jason Cundy. We'll be taking all your calls, text, tweets and emails on all the big talking points from the weekend's football. And remember, we bring you the very